All right. Interesting. Just lost connection to my Facebook. All right. So Trump posts last night, about 20 hours ago, something like that all vaccines were poison. He posts a video of that, saying that all vaccines were poison. Video about thimerosal, video about vaccines, and how we've known for a very long time, at least the medical community, medical system, has known for a long time that that vaccines are poisoned. And they have been hiding it from all of us. So there you go. Now you have to ask yourself, is RFK supposed to come out today and make a big announcement about autism and stuff like that? Is Donald Trump the type of guy who would try to steal someone's thunder, who would try to come up and not necessarily make it about him, but insert himself into something that doesn't necessarily have his name or face on it? And if you believe that he would do such a thing, then I'm guessing, because I happen to be the guy, I do believe that, I'm suspecting that what we're going to hear from RFK today is that, yeah, vaccines are a pretty solid piece of autism. Now, I think it's going to be a phenomenal day. I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear that. If he does say that, it's going to be spectacular. Obviously, nothing's going to change today or tomorrow in as far as what we're doing as far as medical practice or the standardization of medicine, or like no legislation, nothing big is going to happen. He's just come out and tell everybody. So what would be interesting is what's going to happen after that. So if he comes out and goes, yeah, vaccines are a big part of autism, where do we go from there? Now that we know, now it's come out and been officially released, where do we go from there? Here's the problem. If they decide that we're not going to do anything about, this is not just a COVID vaccine, this is all vaccines. This is childhood vaccines are causing autism. So is there a way to detox, ferment, and reverse it? We've got some things that we're doing to help reverse the damage from vaccines, and it helps quite a bit. You can reverse autism. It is something that Dr. Bain has done a lot. Dr. Potter's done. We've worked with him a lot on that. So yeah, you can reverse it if you get it early enough. But you have to understand what it is and then start working backwards. But anyway, so let's take a look at this. Sorry, there was a question from the live. So let's take a look at this. What should we first immediately stop doing? We should immediately stop bonusing pediatricians for poisoning children, because they make $80,000 to $200,000 per provider in normal practices per year as a kickback for making sure that their practices are 90% vaccinated. That's why they kick you out of your practice if you're not vaccinating on their schedule. It has nothing to do with safety. It has entirely to do with getting their kickbacks, getting their checks, getting paid. Here's the problem with that. If we stop paying these pediatricians' offices these giant kickbacks, they will go out of business. So now we're in a kind of a quandary. We've got to figure out what we're going to do. But here's the bigger question. If all of the medical providers that you have been seeing have been either wrong or lying to you about vaccines this entire time, because every single one of them who said, I've read the research, they're safe, they all lied to you. There is no research proving that. There's zero research proving they're safe. So if a doctor ever told you that they read the research and they're safe, that doctor was lying to you. Well, how do you want to deal with your doctors lying to you and then directly impacting your children's health in a very negative manner? That's up to you. You deal with how you want to. But that kind of brings up the question of what are we going to do? Like all the medical guys that you've been talking to have been super arrogant about how everything works and this and that and whatnot. They've been poisoning children for the past 40, 50 years. And we've been telling them, this is toxic, you've got to stop. And they've been laughing at us and being like, haha, no, we're going to do it anyway. Where do you go from there? Who are you going to start having to take care of your children? I would recommend that you find somebody like myself, if you're in the Frisco area. Here's the problem, the Frisco area, where we're at, Dr. Potter is pretty much closed because they can't handle any more patients. Dr. Bain is pretty close to that because they can't handle very many more patients. the problem is that if you drive on one of these pediatricians who's seen the light in the past week, they're probably not. Because here's the thing: if you're willing to believe in the vaccine model, even if you're getting paid or not, you're gonna make secondary choices on throw them on drugs as fast as we can, throw them on the SSRIs, throw them on the ADD, ADHD medicines, throw them on the antibiotics every single time you see them. I have acne. Here's antibiotics. I have a stomach ache. Here's antibiotics. I have a sore throat. Here's antibiotics. You should never be using those antibiotics because we've already established how dangerous and damaging antibiotics are to our mental health, to our psychological health, to our metabolic health, to the gut function, to all of it, to our hormonal health, all of it. But we still throw them out every single time we can because going through and actually teaching people how to get better doesn't drive the profits. Like, here you go. Oh, you don't feel good? Here's an antibiotic. Get out of my office. I'm going to see the next person. So that's kind of where we're at. We're at a very interesting turning point. And if you guys have functional medicine doctors around you, most of which are going to be concierge, I would go sign up today because most of those people you're going to start seeing their prices go up or they're going to get closed. Because one of the cool things about being concierge is you can be like, I'm going to charge $500 a year. And I'm going to have 1,000 patients. That guarantees me that $500,000 a year. And then I can spend as much time as I want to with my patients. I can order whatever tests we need. We can look deeper. I can have a personal relationship with my patients. That's what concierge is. Concierge is guaranteeing me that I can keep my office open, guaranteeing me that I can fill my staff, but I can also sit back and be like, my goal is to keep you healthy. Because here's the thing, as a doc, if we only get paid when you're sick, guess what our livelihoods depend on? You being sick. So if we make you well and you don't ever get sick and you never come back in, we go out of business. So if you're like, someone's like, don't worry, I don't need you to get a concierge plan. You'll just come back in here every time you're sick. Well, how are you going to know I'm going to be sick? Because they're going to inject you with things that intentionally make you sick. The purpose of vaccines, and I realize how this sounds, and you're going to be like, that's crazy. Everything else I've said that sounded crazy was true. So just preface it with that. This is the thing. If you don't care about people, the easiest thing to do is to inject them with poison that is going to create long-term chronic illnesses that they then have to come back and see you for, get tested for, and pay you for medications for the rest of their lives. You're ensuring that you have a chronically larger and larger and larger market base to buy your products. And where are we right now? Over the past 50 years, we've gotten worse and worse and worse as far as healthcare goes. We spent more and more and more money on it. This isn't some crazy theory that I'm thinking about that's going to happen in the future. It's happening now. It's been happening for the past 50 years. Why do you think they held on so tight to the vaccine thing? They knew they were toxic. They knew they were causing problems, but the problems were generating profit for them. That's why the problems were there in the first place. This is how it's set up. This is why they give you statin drugs, because statin drugs don't affect heart attacks and strokes very much. The research says maybe we'll get 4 extra days, but it creates joint pain, dementia, it creates gut issues, it creates energy issues, it creates all sorts of other things that you will then go back to the doctor for and get tests and have to do all the things and take the new drugs and all the stuff. Cholesterol doesn't cause heart attacks and strokes, like in and of itself. We know that. We've known that for a long, long time. I talk about this all the time. SSRIs don't work. What do? They numb you so that you do different things. Here's the thing. Here's the crux of everything that's going on. We are being poisoned at birth so that we have long-term chronic illnesses that they can then sell you the solution to. That's where we are. That's what medicine is doing. And if you're like, no, that's crazy, well, then explain it to me. How do we have all this information? I keep giving you guys all this physiological research, things we've done, things we know, things the medical system has done the research on. The information I get is coming from the National Institute of Health. I get it from the NIH. They've done the research. They know the answers. It's just not profitable. So they go the other way. So that's kind of where we're at. So today's going to be an interesting day because I think that people are starting to wake up and starting to realize that the medical model they have doesn't work for them because it's not designed to work for you. It's designed by pharmakeia to enslave and con you out of your health and your wealth. That's what it is. So that's the actual fight we're in. So when we start, I don't know what's going to come out today. I don't know if anything is going to come out today. It's supposed to come out today or soon. And when Trump posted the all vaccines are poison video, I think that's a pretty good prelude to what we're going to see. But let's think of the outside ramifications of what that actually means. Because again, if the research that has been done a long time ago comes out and we start seeing all these studies about how all these vaccinated kids were a lot less healthy than the unvaccinated ones, and then we see that vaccines are poison, where does that take us next? Where do we go next? What do we do next? So, because what this directly shows is a 100% direct cover-up of all this information by your medical system, the CDC, the FDA, the NIH, the WHO, all of those people. The same people that keep telling you are screwing you all the time. Again, I want to make sure that we get this point across too. Most, if not all of the doctors you've been working with have been thinking they were doing what was good. They were taught that these are perfect and these are amazing and these don't hurt anybody, they only do good, and they believed them because they're supposed to. Like if your teacher tells you something, you're there to get the education, you're there to get the information. So if they tell you these are safe, these are fine, we've looked into them, trust us, they're fine, you're gonna be like, cool, I trust you, they're fine. You can't research every single thing that your medical school tells you every single day. It's impossible. It's not going to be done. So you got to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt on that one, that they were doing what they thought was best. And so when we start again, I want to make sure we preface this because things very potentially could get hot soon. The medical doctors were doing the best they could to actually help people. They were just lied to. The medical system, the NIH, the CDC, the WHO, the FDA, those guys knew. And the pharmaceutical companies, those guys all knew what was going on, and they did this to you anyway, and they lied to their doctors so that their doctors would do all the things they told them to do. So don't be mad at your doctors. Just recognize that they're not going to be the ones who's going to be able to provide you with proper health care. If you want proper health care, you're not going to find it from a standard MD. You might get it from an MD who has functional medicine training, but you're not going to get actual health care from an MD, pediatrician or general prac. What you're going to end up getting is you're going to get a person who's been through the most rigorous psychological indoctrination to sell drugs. That's what you're going to get. So if you're like, yeah, I want somebody who's been trained to sell me drugs, not make my body better, medical path is 100% fantastic for you. If you're like, I think that I want to find a path to teach me to get healthy, get me healthy, and keep me healthy, you're going to have to go somewhere else. The problem is there's not a whole lot of docs out that do what we do. So that's one of those things that, you're gonna have to find somebody who does this stuff and get with them and get set up quickly, because this is your entire family's long-term health. This is your long-term health, this is everybody else's. So, these are one of those things that we're gonna have to start recognizing what is healthcare. And so real quick, if your provider is not talking to you about what you're eating on a daily basis, what supplementation you need to take to then bridge the gaps of those nutritional deficiencies, talking to you about exercise, what kind of exercise, how you should be exercising for your specific issues and your specific goals, who isn't talking to you about sleep, who isn't talking to you about hormones, who isn't talking to you about psychological stress and that sort of stuff. If they're not doing these things, they are not providing you health care. They are selling you drugs, straight out. So that's the thing. That's where we're at. So we all kind of have to wake up and kind of be like, oh crap, for the past 50 years, the information that we have gotten has not been to make our bodies healthier, not to make our souls better, not to make us better in any way. It is to make us dependent on pharmaceuticals so that we continually pay every single day, and they're poisoning us. That's how the system was set up. And it's hard to look at the system and look at the results we're getting and be like, no, it wasn't set up for that reason. Every single year for the past 50 years, every one of our chronic illnesses has gotten worse. And we've spent more money every single year over the past 50 years to the pharmaceutical and medical system to make this problem go away. And it hasn't gone away, it's gotten worse. And now we're finding out, because RFK is firing over at the CDC, that they all knew about it, they were all in on it, and they were covering it up. So that's kind of where we're at. So if you do care about your family's health, I would go out and I would find the guys who are doing holistic care, who are going to talk to you about nutrition, who talk to you about diet, who talk about exercise, talk to you about hormones, talk to you about sleep, talk about psychological function. And I would sign up with them as quick as you can, because there's a whole lot of those guys who are going to be full real quick soon. So get out there, get with guys like us, get with, if you're in a different state, we can still work with you. We work with people all over the world. Get with some of these guys. If there's somebody in your state that you would be easier and closer, definitely get with them. You guys are going to start taking control of your own health. So, watch stuff like this. Share this video with everybody you can, because people are going to have to start figuring out for themselves where they're going to go and what they're going to do for their healthcare. Because what they have been doing, obviously, according to the statistics, hasn't been working. And now we know that there's been a specific covered up setup issue to keep you in the dark and keep you poisoned so that you're constantly sick and constantly buying drugs from the system. So that's kind of where we're at. So you guys do what you want to do. I'd share this with everybody. And we're still accepting new patients if you guys are looking for care that way. If you're in the Frisco area and you're needing a new pediatrician, like I said, Dr. Potter is closed at the moment. Her office is closed. They're not closed, but they're not taking new patients. Dr. Deborah Bain at Healthy Kids Pediatrics would be the first place I would call, because they are still, I think they're still accepting patients for the time being. But that's kind of where we're at. So I would start looking at those pediatricians who didn't force vaccinate, because those are going to be a little bit better options. But I would 100% look for anybody who's functioning as and trained, and I would start there. So if you guys have any other questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com. I'm sure we're going to get lots. Drop in the comments. We'll talk to you guys in the DMs. Have a fabulous day. I cannot wait to see what actually comes out of the next couple of days. You guys have a great day. Bye.